Now, before we write more code and learn about more good features you should be aware of, let's have a look at the code we already got, both here in the code editor as well as the result we got in the browser. And if we have a look at this result in the code editor, we see that it's becoming a bit harder to read our code because it's very long. We have a very long lines of code here. Now, therefore, we might want to split our code across multiple lines. And you can do that. You should typically not add a line break in the middle of a HTML tag, because whilst if you save this, it still works, this can quickly lead to errors where you start adding new HTML elements in between because you don't realize that you added a line break inside of a tag. And hence you should not do that. But you can absolutely, for example, add a line break after the opening tag and then after the content. And if we do that, then this code already gets a bit more readable. You might also notice that the IDE, Visual Studio Code here, automatically indents that content which is now moved to a new line, so that text content between the H1 and paragraph tags. And this indentation is added automatically by Visual Studio Code since it also helps with readability. It makes it easy to spot that this text is inside of that H1 or paragraph and not on the same level, so that it's not a sibling, but instead inside of that element. Regarding the output on the website, it will be ignored. So this indentation here is only here for us during development to have an easier time identifying the values, the content inside of an element. It's not output on the screen. The users of our website will not see this indentation. But doing this manually can be annoying, and I'm reverting this here so that I can show you an alternative. Because there is a very useful alternative, a very useful feature built into Visual Studio Code, which helps you with code formatting. If you have a look at your keyboard shortcuts and you search for Format Document here, you will find a Format Document shortcut. If it's not bound yet, you can bind it. Now, if you do bind it, you can press this shortcut to format this code automatically, simply by pressing a shortcut. If this does not work correctly, or even if it does, you might want to have a look at a special extension which you can install, which helps with formatting and which is one of the most popular formatting extensions. Under View Extensions, you can go to the Extensions menu and you can install a third-party extension into Visual Studio Code. The extensibility Visual Studio Code has is one of its many advantages. And here you can search for Prettier, and you should find the Prettier extension. I already have it installed here. You can install it now. And Prettier is an extension that helps with code formatting. Once you did install it, you can go back to the Explorer with View Explorer or the shortcut which you see next to that item. And then you can go to Preferences, Settings in Visual Studio Code, and here also search for Format. And make sure that under Default Formatter, you do select Prettier VS Code. And if that's selected, pressing that Format Document shortcut should format your document with Prettier. And it simply saves you the hassle of manually splitting your code and formatting your code. And Prettier will automatically format your code following common best practices, so that it doesn't add a line break in the middle of a tag, for example. So that's something to be aware of.